जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति सुपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं प्रजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगणललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतलेश्वराधनाथ स्वामी नामिने नमः। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतलेशं वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे विशेष मुखं करोति वाचालं बन्धुं पातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं कारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं हरि ओम्। Hare Krishna. So welcome to all the devotees for the Saturday Hari Katha. So as I mentioned some time ago, we were having quite a few irregularities because of various reasons, including my work and my health. So we decided to focus on our Saturday class for now, and on alternate weeks discuss Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we progress both. So today we'll be discussing Chaitanya Charitamrita. We'll be continuing from where we left off. In fact, there has been break for quite some time in terms of our discussions on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I think it is high time we come back and refocus on the discussions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. In essence, of course, Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Srimad Bhagavat are talking about the same subject of pure devotional service. But as we have discussed earlier, Chaitanya Charitamrita, in one sense, begins where Bhagavatam ends. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita explains various types of yogas and concludes by saying Manmana Bhavamat Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskaru Mam Mami Vaishasi Satyam Te Pratijana Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Ham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshe Sharanam. Surrender fully unto. And from that last instruction of Krishna, the Bhagavad begins in terms of how that is to be done. And the Bhagavatam describes the lives of so many great devotees and so many incarnations of the Lord and concludes Nama Sankirtana Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranami Dukka Shamanastam Namami Harim Param. The Sankirtan of whose names can purify one fully, the Nam Sankirtana. I surrender to the Supreme Lord. So it concludes with Nam Sankirtana. Nam Sankirtana is the beginning of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So Chaitanya Charitamrita elaborates further and deeper in the subject of pure devotional service by giving in great detail the life and activities of pure devotees, especially of those who are attached to the highest goal, which is the subject matter of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The loving affairs of Krishna and his devotees in That is the pinnacle of the Bhagavad. And the pursuit of that pinnacle and what it entails in detail, including the successful devotees who made it, and the Lord himself who came down to taste it, and that is discussed in great detail in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these two literatures are so relishable. We can be discussing Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita for the rest of our lives every day, and if we do it properly, we will never feel bored or hackneyed, because this is transcendental subject matter. It is ever so pleasing to the heart. So the more we advance in Krishna consciousness, the more we develop attraction for Harikatha, the more we will see ourselves as finding newer and newer joy, even by hearing the same topic again and again, even the same verses again and again. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he would sit down and discuss the Bhagavad, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's favorite pastime in Jagannath Puri was to, there were many regular activities. He would spend time with Swarup Damodar Goswami, with Ramanand Rai, Lalita and Vishakha. But he would also every day spend time with Gadadhar Pandit, who is Radharani himself. And what would Radha and Krishna do when they would come together and meet in Jagannath Puri? They would discuss Srimad Bhagavad. Gadadhar Pandit was very expert in reciting and speaking about the Srimad Bhagavad, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just loved. So sometimes we may think, oh, I want to get beyond this. What is this? I'm just discussing Bhagavad, discussing Bhagavad, discussing Bhagavad. But if Radha and Krishna in the form of Gauranga and Gadadhar, Gaur Gadadhar can come together in Jagannath Puri and spend their time discussing Bhagavad. Obviously, this is the activity of perfected souls. This is not just a sadhana. Of course, in our conditioned stage, we may read as a sadhana, even though we don't feel like reading. But in the perfected stage, we relish the taste of the katha. Satam prasanga mamavirya samvido bhavantirat karna rasayana katha tad joshanadya pavargavartmani shraddharati bhaktir anukramish. The association of devotees discussing of this Harikatha is so pleasing to the heart. That's the rasa that the devotees are hankering for. It's free. No need to have a lot of material wealth, money. But you need one very, very important ingredient. Actually, two. One is, of course, for oneself an inclination and taste discussing Harikatha. And to make that taste even more relishable, have the association of another devotee or devotees who also have a similar relish, in whose association we can jointly discuss. And that's what we are doing right now, right? We may not be such exalted souls, but nonetheless, at our level, we are doing exactly this. Satam prasangam avaviryasam. Any devotee, even at the neophyte stage, if they are making a sincere endeavor to advance, Krishna considers them as sata, as devotees. Satam prasangam avaviryasam. And in hearing the Bhagavad from Gadadhar Pandit, again and again he would be reciting some of these verses, and they would be tasting the nectar of these verses again and again and again. So this is when we can understand we have developed some taste. We hear a verse and we get so excited. So Radha and Krishna came together in Jagannath Puri and discussed Srimad Bhagavad. So these are all activities of perfection. This is how you taste the fruit of pure devotional service, hearing and chanting. Anyway, so we are discussing these beautiful pastimes. We're in the Madhya Lila. Currently, we are discussing the 10th chapter. The 10th chapter is the chapter where Lord Chaitanya has returned to Puri after around 2 years of his South India tour. So that all we have already discussed. I'm just going to recap because we have had a long break. Just doing a quick recap and then we can build momentum from there. We discussed almost first 62 uh, odd verses, actually 61 verses, I think. And we will start from 62 verses, but I just want to quickly give a brief synopsis of what we have discussed in the chapter so far. Lord Chaitanya came back to Puri. Everybody was so happy. The first thing that was done was, now that Lord Chaitanya is back, we have to arrange for a nice place for him to stay. So based on the recommendation of King Pratap Rudra, so Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya went to King Pratap Rudra and said, please suggest, you are the king, suggest a good place, which is close to temple, Jagannath's temple, but still secluded. So that it was decided that the house of Kashi Mishra is the right place. They went to Kashi Mishra and he was so happy. He said, this is my greatest fortune. I mean, is this even something to ask that the Supreme Lord is going to stay in my home? So most welcome. So anyway, Lord Chaitanya, after he came back, he first went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house. Then he was later taken to the home of Kashi Mishra. He was very happy. He was shown the facilities, the room, which is known as the Gambhira. Everything that he needs, everything was arranged, the water pot and cloth and everything else. And the Lord was very satisfied to see that place. And as the Lord was sitting there in the house of Kashi Mishra, surrounded by his close associates, Nityananda Prabhu, Damodar Pandit, Govinda, and others, so many other devotees gathered there because the news of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's return came. Of course, the king didn't come. He so much wanted to, but we discussed, right? Lord Chaitanya wasn't willing to meet the king. So the king from behind the scenes was arranging for these services like the house of Kashi Mishra and others, but he didn't dare without permission to come in front of her. He didn't exert his position as king, saying, oh, I will come and see. This is not how we get mercy. We don't barge our way in front of Vaishnavas and say, here I am. I want to associate with you. The path of devotion is always a path of submissive service, is a path of begging for the mercy. So Pratap Rudra was patiently waiting to receive the Lord's mercy. Anyway, this gathering happened in the home of Kashi Mishra, where Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya introduced the various devotees who had come together. So who had gathered there in the house of Kashi Mishra. And we discussed all their names quite elaborately in the last class. Notable amongst them, which we discussed in a fair amount of detail. And of course, when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was introducing, he was not only telling the name, but also what kind of service that devotee is especially engaged in. So devotee's introduction is like that. Devotee's introduction is not just XYZ or so-and-so Das or Dasi. The identity of a Vaishnav is his seva to the Supreme Lord. Not just the degree, the job, the position. All that is okay. That may be true for a outside audience. But as a Das or Dasi, how is the Dasatva being performed? How is the service being performed? So introducing an explanation, this is the service, this is the service. And the Lord was so happy to hear. Amongst the various devotees who had come there was the family of Bhavananda Rai. Who's Bhavananda Rai? The father of Ramananda Rai, who came with his other 4 sons, because Ramananda Rai was still in South India, on the bank of the Godavari. Which place? Anybody remembers? Which place did Lord Chaitanya meet? Nobody remembers. Okay, homework. Find out. So four of them were there, and Bhavananda Rai was so happy to see, and they fell down and he said, I surrender my life and my whole family at your service. All well-to-do, well-educated, a high-class aristocratic family. Even though they were not Brahmanas, they were, uh, not high by birth, but in terms of wealth, achievement, fame, aristocracy, quite well placed. So Bhavananda Rai surrendered himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so happy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you are none other than Pandu, Maharaj Pandu from the Mahabharata, reborn, and all your five sons are the five Pandavas. Even though he didn't mention it, Ramananda Rai is a partial incarnation of Arjun. It's a combination of Arjun and Vishaka Sakhi. So then, very humbly, Bhavananda Rai pleaded to Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya was very happy, and he offered one of his sons, Vaninath Rai. Lord Chaitanya said, I will please accept him as in your service. Please accept him in your service. So Lord Chaitanya very graciously accepted this request. Can you imagine the good fortune? Offering to the Lord, and the Lord accepts personal service of Lord Chaitanya. And Bhavananda Rai with his other devotees, with his other sons, then he went back. He said, of course, we are at your service always, but this son of mine will be always with you. And Lord Chaitanya said, yeah, Ramananda Rai is so dear to me, and you all are so dear to me. In fact, Ramananda Rai is very soon going to come and join me here. He has already given in his resignation. He had told me that you go ahead and I will come soon. So it will be so wonderful that all of us can be together. So eventually Bhavananda Rai goes back, and Vaninath Pattanayak becomes engaged in the personal service of Lord Chaitanya. Then, of course, Lord Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked all the devotees to disperse. They said that the Lord wants to, take some rest. So once the Lord was again alone in the home of Kashi Mishra, he was with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. The Lord had come back. If you remember, the Lord had taken with him, on the insistence of Nityananda Prabhu and the other devotees, one assistant. Anybody remembers the name of that assistant? Who had gone with Lord Chaitanya carrying his extra cloth and water pot.
Krishna Das.
Govinda?
Krishna Das. Krishna Das.
Kala Krishna Das. Yeah, to be more specific. Kala Krishna Das. So Kala Krishna Das, Lord Chaitanya, if you remember that pastime of how Kala Krishna Das got bewildered in the association of the Bhattathari group, and how the Bhattathari women somehow enticed him and took him away from the association of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya had to go into that group, go there and reclaim Kala Krishna Das and save him. So Lord Chaitanya successfully saved him. And they were about to attack Lord Chaitanya with various weapons, but the weapons flew out from their own hands and targeted them by the Lord's mystic potency. Anyway, the Lord saved Kala Krishna Das from the situation, and the Lord didn't abandon him. He brought him back eventually. But as soon as he is now back in Jagannath Puri, and this whole matter is settled and the Lord is in his home, immediately he told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that, oh my dear Bhattacharya, this Kala Krishna Das, you all recommended me to take him as an assistant. Do you know? You should consider the character of this person that you sent with me. Do you know what he did? He left my company to go into the association of the Bhattatharis. I had to go and rescue him as a sannyasi. He is supposed to assist me. Now I became busy in trying to save him from this gypsy group. But I have managed to bring him back here. Now my responsibility towards him is done. I brought him back. Now I cannot be responsible for him anymore. Now I am letting him go. I don't want to do anything with him because I have seen his character. He can go wherever he likes. I am not responsible for him anymore. And Lord Chaitanya is telling this to Sarvam Bhattacharya in front of Kal Krishna Das, because until then Kal Krishna Das is he was still in the service of Lord Chaitanya. When Kal Krishna Das heard Lord Chaitanya saying, basically Lord Chaitanya is saying, I reject you. Reject you in the sense, he didn't say I reject you, but I release you from my service. He started crying and wailing. Because of course, after that episode, he had realized his mistake and how he realized how he had, because of some inattention towards the service of the Lord, he had become ensnared by Maya and left the active service of the Supreme Lord. Of course, we discussed that pastime in great detail, and essentially the wonderful lesson that pastime conveys in terms of how careful the living entity has to be, and how the choice of whether to serve Krishna or Maya exists with the living entity at every moment. Even when the devotee is standing next to the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly engaged in his service. So as devotees, we have to not make that choice once. We have to continuously exercise that choice. Especially when we are in the material world, because we are in the Trigunamai Maya. Because when we get perfected and go back to the spiritual world, will not be ensnared because the three gunas are not there. Of course, technically, if we want to go away, the Lord will still allow us. But the chances of that are, more theoretical than practical. But while we are here in this world, there is a situation. Padam padam yad vipadam. Every step there is danger. So Kal Krishna Das started crying like anything. And as soon as Lord Chaitanya said, I have nothing to do with him, and Kal Krishna Das started crying, Lord Chaitanya didn't even wait there for a moment. He didn't even look at Kal Krishna Das. Lord Chaitanya got up and went away to take his lunch. So this is like, too painful for Kal Krishna Das, rejected and the Lord went away. So all the other devotees who were there at that time, especially Nityananda Prabhu, Jagadananda Pandit, Mukunda, Damodar, who were the four closest associates of the Lord who have accompanied him all the way from Bengal, they were very concerned. Concerned for whom? Concerned for Kala Krishna Das. Why they were concerned? They were concerned that the Lord has released him from the service. But if Kal Krishna Das doesn't have any service to the Lord, then how will he continue to remain in Krishna consciousness? So engagement in Krishna consciousness, engagement in practical service is so important. And not only it is important to keep him engaged, it's also important. He's feeling so down, morose, and we don't want him to go into a depression. You have to figure out some way to save the situation. So the point is, and the Acharyas, Prabhupada says, and so many of devotees who comment on these verses this past time mentioned that sometimes when the devotees may make mistakes, the Lord may externally reject. But the devotees are more merciful than the Lord. The devotees don't reject anyone. Why? Because the devotees know the real heart of the Lord. Lord never actually rejects anyone. Of course, sometimes externally the Lord has to take a stern position because he has to send the right message for everyone. That don't take the privilege of my close association lightly. You have to act very, very responsibly because it's a very, very great blessing. But nonetheless, the devotees are so concerned that even one devotee, no matter how small, they may be in terms of their service or contribution, or in terms of their devotion or elevation in spiritual consciousness, they don't want even one person to go away. They want to make every possible effort, keep a person happy in Krishna consciousness. So they all got together immediately into a huddle and started to think, now what should we do with Kal Krishnadas? He cannot be here because Lord Chaitanya is so upset just by seeing him. So he cannot be in this group right now. At the same time, we want to engage him. So how to engage him? So finally, they got an idea. They all discussed and came up with the idea. Okay, wonderful. First class idea. The idea is Lord Chaitanya has just come back to Jagannath Puri. The news of Lord Chaitanya is coming back to Puri after 2 years of South India Yatra hasn't yet been conveyed to the devotees in Bengal. Devotees like Sachimata, Advaita, Shrivas, they will all be waiting. They have no idea the Lord has come. We must convey the news. So why don't? There is no SMS, there is no WhatsApp, there is no mobile. So we have to send the news through some person. So why not we engage this Kala Krishna Das to be the courier, carry the message of Lord Chaitanya's return to the Bengal. In that way, two things will happen. He will get service and he'll also get association on the other side. Great devotees like Advaita, Sachimata, Srivas Thakur and so many. Such a wonderful service. So they all agreed, yes, this is a good plan. That way he'll be away from the hot spot for some time until matters settle down. And he will also be happy. He will not feel himself useless. He will feel that he is still been accommodated in the association somewhere and able to render some meaningful service. So this is the mood of the devotees. So he was sent. He was given some Mahaprasad of Lord Jagannath and said, go and convey the news to Sachimata, Advaita, Srivas and all the others. They are all very unhappy. So, you give them happiness by giving the news. So it's always a pleasure, right? I mean, I think all of us, if we have a chance to give a good news to somebody, it's so nice to give a good news because, when somebody hears a really, really good news, when you tell them and when you see them light up in joy, that gives so much satisfaction and happiness to the heart. So they wanted to give that pleasure of that seva. So they told Kal Krishna Das that you please go to Bengal and inform them about this. But before that, before they told him, they wanted to take Lord Chaitanya's permission because they were not sure how Lord Chaitanya will react to this proposal. So first they told Kal Krishna Das, we are going to do this, you will do no? Like this. He said, okay, just wait, we will align this approach with Lord Chaitanya. So next day, Nityanand Prabhu and these other devotees came to Lord Chaitanya and said, oh, Lord, you are back. And, Sachimata, Advaita and others, they are so unhappy in Bengal because, they are all bereft of your association. They are waiting for the news of your return. So we must send some person to Bengal to give the news. And this is our plan that we are sending Kal Krishna Das there. It's the prasad and he will do. So Lord Chaitanya, he kind of quietly agreed. He didn't protest because, of course, in the heart of hearts, being the father of all living entities, even though sometimes the father is strict, in the heart of heart, he doesn't want his children to go away, even when they are being punished. So they kind of got Lord Chaitanya's consent because he didn't protest. And they said, done deal. So they gave Mahaprasad to Kal Krishna Das and he said, you go to Bengal and distribute this prasad to all the associates of Lord Chaitanya. So this is a very, very beautiful, episode. Srila Prabhupada himself, sometimes some disciples will ask him, Say, Prabhupada, if we make a mistake, if we fall down from Krishna consciousness, will you reject us? Will you reject us? Prabhupada would say, how can I reject you? I cannot reject you. So devotee is so compassionate that he is ever willing to accommodate and help the fallen living entities come up and progress in their path of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes even though the devotee may falter, fall, make mistakes, the devotee, understanding the heart of the Lord, is ever willing to accommodate and do whatever necessary to engage a devotee in Krishna service. So devotees of the Lord are very, very kind. Of course, their kindness is ultimately an extension of the Lord's kindness, but the Lord extends that kindness to his devotees, especially Lord Nityananda and his servitors. Lord Nityananda's sacred seva, grab us by our collar and pull us back towards Krishna's lotus feet. So all glories to devotees like Nityananda and their associates. So Kala Krishna Das was sent, and he was very happy that he got some seva. So, life came back for him. He was thinking he is rejected, but somehow by the arrangement of the devotees, he got this wonderful seva. So he collected the Mahaprasad that the devotees, gave, and he immediately went to Bengal. First, he went to the house of Sachimata. He offered his obeisances to her. First, he delivered the Mahaprasad of Jagannath to her. And as soon as he gave the Mahaprasad, he told her, "Oh, mother, I want to deliver to you the good news. Your Nimai, the one and only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our Lord and Master, has returned from his South India tour." And Mother Sachi was so happy, so delighted. So normally when somebody gives a good news, our heart pours out with blessings for that person. The bringer of good news. So he received the blessings of Sachi Mata. She was so happy. And all other devotees included, from there the news spread to Srivas Thakur and others. Everybody became very, very happy. Then Kal Krishna Das especially made an effort to personally go to the house of Advaitacharya. He paid respectful obeisances again to Advaitacharya and handed the Mahaprasad to him, and he conveyed the news. And Advaitacharya is a very different transcendental personality. He's also known as Nada. So when he heard the news, he was not just happy, he started rumbling in the loud sound. I don't know what kind of sound he made from his, some kind of a rumbling sound, and he started dancing, and he was very articulate in his excitement. He was dancing and jumping and doing kirtan for a long time when the news came. So all the other devotees also came to know. Haridas Thakur, Vasudev Dutt, Murari Gupta, Shivanand Sen, all these close associates, Acharya Ratna, Vakreshwar Pandit, Acharya Nidhi, Gadadhar Pandit, all were happy. At that time, Gadadhar Pandit was still in Bengal. Later, he takes Kshetra Sannyas and comes to Jagannath Puri. But at this moment, he is still in. They're so happy. Shriram Pandit, Damodar Pandit, Shriman Pandit, Vijay, Sridhar, Raghav Pandit, Nandanacharya, all these great devotees. Everybody was happy, and whenever they are very happy, the place to gather for them. There wasn't a big temple like we all gather in an ISKCON temple or wherever our Namhatta or programs happen. The popular gathering place there for Harikatha was Advaitacharya's house for all the devotees. All of them gathered in the house of. He was the leader of the Vaishnava community. He was The senior most, both by age and by age, by initiation, and by devotion. So they all came to the house of Advaita Acharya and they offered their obeisances. Advaita Acharya was already so happy. He was embracing each and every devotee. And in the joy that Lord Chaitanya had returned, they decided to have a grand festival. So what does festival mean? In Krishna consciousness, festival means Hari Katha, Hari Kirtan, Prasad. Means sing, dance, eat. Correct? Isn't that how we party? So material life also we party, and spiritual life also we party. The essential ingredients are still the same. People come together, socialize, they sing together, they dance together, they eat together. The difference is, in one place, they keep themselves as the center of their activity and try to enjoy their own senses by exploiting others. And in the association of devotees, everyone is gathered together very beautifully. The single-minded focus of giving pleasure to Govinda, the transcendental Lord of the senses of everyone. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti. So that is why it is a matter of motivation. Our activities can be same, but who are they directed towards and for whose pleasure? So in this way, 3 days they had a grand festival. Hari Katha, Hari Kirtan, and Prasad. So as they were meeting over the 3 days, all of them were discussing with each other, now what we should do, now what we should do. Yes, we must all go and meet Lord Chaitanya. Let us gather together. So as they were associating with each other, they all discussed and agreed. Let us take a common yatra. All devotees will all go together and see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all this planning and discussion was going on. And they went to Sachimata and they conveyed, that all devotees are of the opinion that we should go to Jagannath Puri and take darshan. As they were discussing this, nearby villages of great devotees were also various great devotees, Kulinagram, where great devotees like Satyaraj, Ramananda, they came there. From Srikhanda, various devotees like Mukunda, Narahari, Raghunandan, they came to the house of Advaita Acharya. They all came together and everybody agreed, yes. So, lot of excitement, lot of happiness. And they were all thinking about, what date we should, plan to go and depart, because now many devotees and their families agreed to go. So, you cannot suddenly get up and go. These are all family people. So they started thinking about the logistics, what date we should leave, what all we need to pack and set up because we have to travel together. So as all this was happening, the great devotee Paramananda Puri, who is the god brother of the Guru of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the god brother of Ishwara Puri, Paramananda Puri. If you remember, Lord Chaitanya met Paramananda Puri in South India. And he had told Paramananda Puri that please come and join me in Jagannath Puri. So Paramanand Puri was already on his way up north, even while Lord Chaitanya was still in the south, and now he had come and reached Gaudadesh, Bengal. And he came here and this whole big party was going on of the celebration of the news of the return of Lord Chaitanya. So Paramananda Puri went to the house of Sachimata, and Sachimata offered him great respects and, and actually he stayed in the house of Sachimata. And of course, when he came there, he came to know of the news of Lord Chaitanya's return. And he was so excited. Yes, I was also just waiting for Lord Chaitanya to return. So I also want to go. When are you all going? Let us go now. But they said, yeah, we are trying to make arrangements. It will take a couple of days for us to go. No, I cannot wait for a couple of days. Okay, you all come later. I am going now itself. So he became so eager to take the association of Lord Chaitanya that he didn't wait for the others. He said, you all come later. So there was one devotee, his name was a Brahman devotee of the name of Kamalakanta. So along with him, he went from Navadvip and he started coming towards Jagannath Puri. So very soon he reached Jagannath Puri. He was so eager, Paramananda Puri. And he came to the house of Kashi Mishra where Lord Chaitanya was residing, and Lord Chaitanya was so happy to see him again. The Lord worshipped the lotus feet of Paramananda Puri because he's his Guru's god brother. Paramananda Puri, being a very elderly, senior Vaishnava sannyasi, he embraced the Lord with love. And Lord Chaitanya reiterated his request which he had made to him earlier. What was his request? I wish that you should stay with me. Please be kind to me, grant me your mercy. Make Jagannath Puri your residence and please stay with me. So Paramananda Puri said, what you are saying is actually my heart's desire. That's the reason I came from Bengal here, because I want to take your association. I was at Navadvip and I was with your mother, Mother Sachi, and all the devotees there have got the news of your return from the South India Yatra. And they are all about to come to meet you. Oh, to Lord, I'm sorry that I didn't wait for them because my heart, I just couldn't wait. I'm so eager to see you. So I have come running to take your darshan, and the others are just going to join within a couple of days. And Lord Chaitanya was thinking of what is a suitable place for Paramananda Puri to stay. So there was one solitary room in the house of Kashi Mishra itself where Lord Chaitanya was staying. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arranged for that room to be given to Paramananda Puri. And also a servant was assigned to Paramananda. So in that way, Paramananda Puri also came to Jagannath Puri and came in the association of Lord Chaitanya. Next, now this chapter and over the next couple of chapters, we'll be discussing a lot of these devotees who come to Puri. So once Lord Chaitanya came back to Puri and so to say settled down in Puri, so many of his associates, his very, very close associates, his eternal associates, the Lord arranged for them to come from various places and come and join him so that he can then perform his pastimes. All these associates like Ramanand Rai, he was yet to come. Gadadhar Pandit yet to come. Paramananda Puri had just arrived. Of course, Nityananda was already there. Advaita and Sachi Mata, they would come and visit regularly every year. But other devotees who are going to come and associate with him there, especially one of his very, very confidential associates, the great Swarup Damodar Goswami. Swarup Damodar Goswami is famous as one of the most intimate personal assistants of Lord Chaitanya. He's sometimes referred to as the personal secretary of Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya knew Swarup Damodar from Bengal in his Purvashram when the Lord was not a sannyasi, he was a grahastha. From that time, from his early age, the Lord knew Swarup Damodar. So Swarup Damodar happened to come the very next day after Paramananda Puri came. And he was a very, very close, intimate friend of Lord Chaitanya. He was full of the most wonderful spiritual qualities. So Swarup Damodar, when he was residing in Navadvip, his name actually was Purushottam Acharya. The name Swarup Damodar came later and we'll discuss about that. And he was a close friend of Lord Chaitanya. And eventually, as we discussed, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas and he left Bengal. Purushottam Acharya went mad in separation from Lord Chaitanya. He said, if Lord Chaitanya is not here and not going to be here, I also have nothing to do with this material world. He immediately renounced everything. And like a madman, he went to Varanasi and he took sannyas. So his sannyas guru, whose name was Chaitanyananda Bharati, he ordered Swarup Damodar, you should read the Vedanta Sutra and teach Vedanta Sutra to everybody. So in those days, Vaishnava sannyas wasn't common. So typically the sannyasis were the Shankara sannyasis, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas from Keshava Bharati, Sarup Damodar took sannyas from Chaitanya Ananda Bharati. So Sarup Damodar accepted sannyas. Sarup Damodar was also very learned scholar. So all these close associates, they were very, very learned. They were not just great devotees. Whether you talk about Ramanand Rai, Sanatan Goswami, Rup Goswami, Jeev Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, all these close associates. Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya was incarnation of Brihaspati himself. Very, very learned, great devotees. So he was a great devotee and also a great scholar. But his whole heart and soul was given to Krishna. He was very, very enthusiastic to worship Krishna without any disturbance. So he also took sannyas and he left the society. Society means the wherever he was staying in Bengal. So after his sannyas, because he was so eager to worship Radha and Krishna without any disturbance, he came to his spiritual master and asked him permission. I want to go to Jagannath Puri. And when in his heart he understood that Lord Chaitanya had come there, and the news reached him, he also told Chaitanya and the Bharati that I want your permission that I want to go and serve my Lord and Master, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Ananda Bharati gave permission to Sarup Damodar. The interesting thing about Sarup Damodar that is mentioned is that even after taking sannyas, Sarup Damodar maintained his brahmachari name. He didn't take a sannyas name. So Sarup Damodar is the brahmachari name of Purushottam Acharya. So he was not interested in accepting the external emblems of a sannyasi. So he still kept his shikha. He dressed like a brahmachari and he kept his brahmachari name. He kept his sacred thread. And he did not wear a saffron cloth. He didn't even accept a sannyas title. He just remained as a Naishtika brahmachari. And he kept the name Swarup Damodar. So Swarup is one of the titles which is accepted by brahmacharis in the Sankara school. So he kept that name. So even though he had officially taken sannyas, he lived like a brahmachari. Very simple. He didn't want attention, which is typically given to a sannyasi. So after taking permission from Chaitanyananda Bharati to go to Jagannath Puri, day and night was absorbed in pure devotional service, remembering the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And he was just waiting for Lord Chaitanya to come back. And so this personality, Sarup Damodar, is a very, very great person. As we discussed earlier, he is actually an incarnation of Lalita Sakhi. And then he remained in a secluded place waiting for Lord Chaitanya to come back and being absorbed in transcendental love. And then eventually, when Lord Chaitanya came to Jagannath Puri, he came and presented himself in front of Lord Chaitanya and surrendered to him and requested Lord Chaitanya to be accepted in his personal association. Of course, Lord Chaitanya very, very happily accepted. So Sarup Damodar is known for many, many wonderful qualities. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami briefly summarizes the wonderful attributes and character of Sarup Damodar. Not only was he very learned, he was also a very, very beautiful singer. Right? It is said that he was such an expert musician He was as expert as Gandharvas in singing. So very often, to nourish the devotional mood of Lord Chaitanya, Sarup Damodar in his personal presence, especially in the Gambhir, would sing very, very beautiful songs, especially the works of great Rasika devotees like Vidyapati, Chandidas, Jayadev Goswami, the Geeta Govinda by Jayadev Goswami. And Lord Chaitanya, when he would hear these beautiful songs sung in a beautiful melody by Sarup Damodar, Lord Chaitanya would be so happy. So it is said in singing he was like the Gandharvas, in learning he was like Brihaspati. And he was very, very learned, not only in the philosophy, but also in the rasa of Krishna consciousness. In fact, one of the surveys of Sarup Damodar Goswami was that when Lord Chaitanya would be there in Puri, sometimes various kinds of devotees would come and write a book or a song, and they would present it to Lord Chaitanya, say, oh, we have written something in glorification of Krishna, please read this. So, before anything would reach Lord Chaitanya, Sarup Damodar Goswami would be the filter. He would be the firewall. He will see first, show to me first what you have written. So, he will check and read. And he will scrutinize it for philosophical correctness in terms of the principles of pure devotional service, and also rasa correctness, no rasabhas, no mixture of rasas, no wrong representation of rasas. He did not want anything which was anything short of perfection to be presented to Lord Chaitanya. Because if Lord Chaitanya would read something which was either philosophically or rasa-wise inappropriate, it would disturb Lord Chaitanya's devotional mood. So Sarup Damodar Goswami would be that filter. He would be the fence. So he would first examine. Only when he would find them appropriate, then he would allow them to be presented to Lord Chaitanya. And only then Lord Chaitanya would agree to hear. So Lord Chaitanya was also very strict. He did not want to hear anything which is not according to perfect Siddhanta. That's why we also have to be careful. We also don't want to simply go around reading books which are not aligned properly with Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Even though they may appear to be written by devotees. Because if there is apasiddhanta or rasabhas, then those kind of presentations will actually contaminate our heart rather than helping us to advance in Krishna consciousness. So, this was the kind of quality of Sarup Damodar, and he performed a service of like being a secretary of Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya Lord Chaitanya had a secretary and a personal servant. Govinda was his personal servant, and Sarup Damodar Goswami was his secretary. And Sarup Damodar is very, very simple, very, very humble, but yet very firm when it came to serve the Lord. And it was very, very dear. It is said, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that there is no personality as great as Sarup Damodar. And that's why he was very dear to Advaita Acharya, Nityananda, and to all the devotees headed by Srivas. Because if there were any devotees who would almost always be with Lord Chaitanya when he is staying in Gambhira, was Sarup Damodar and Govinda. So Sarup Damodar would personally be always there next to Lord Chaitanya and practically manage everything for him, like his personal secretary. So when Sarup Damodar actually came to Jagannath Puri, the next day after Paramananda Puri came, he came and fell flat in front of Lord Chaitanya. And he recited a very beautiful verse. The translation of this verse goes as follows. O ocean of mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let there be an awakening of your auspicious mercy, which easily drives away all kinds of material lamentation by making everything pure and blissful. Indeed, your mercy awakens transcendental bliss and covers all material pleasures. By your auspicious mercy, quarrels and disagreements arising from different scriptures are vanquished. Your auspicious mercy pours forth transcendental mellows and thus causes the heart to jubilate. Your mercy, which is full of joy, always stimulates devotional service and glorifies conjugal love of God. May transcendental bliss be awakened within my heart by your causeless mercy. So he composed very beautiful poetry and glorified Lord Chaitanya like that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately raised up Swarup Damodar to his feet and he embraced him. And both of them were so absorbed in ecstatic love because they knew each other from Bengal, from their earlier days. And both of them fell unconscious. That was the kind of love and ecstasy that they felt. So after they both regained their composure and came back to external consciousness, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to speak. He told Swarup Damodar, I had a dream. Oh Swarup, I had a dream. And in that dream, I saw you coming. So this is so auspicious that I had this dream and now you are actually coming in person. I am feeling as if I was a blind man. And now that you have come, you have restored my vision. Swarup Damodar said, oh Lord, what is this that you are saying? Please forgive my offenses. That I gave up your association. You went to South India and I was just left behind and I was not able to serve you. So it is actually my mistake. Actually, Lord, this shows that I do not have any love for you. If I did, how could I be away from you? That means I am actually a very sinful person. But you are so kind, my Lord, that even though I gave up your association, you have not abandoned me. You have tied me around my neck by the rope of your mercy and you have dragged me back to your lotus. So in that way, they were, appreciating each other. So after being welcomed like this by Lord Chaitanya, Swarup Damodar Goswami worshipped the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu and sought his blessings. And then after that, he met all the other great devotees, Jagadananda, Mukunda, Shankar, Sarvabhauma, in an appropriate way. Everybody was so happy that Swarup Damodar had joined. Of course, Swarup Damodar offered his obeisances to Paramananda Puri, who had joined the previous day. Paramananda Puri also embraced with great love Swarup Damodar. So, in this way, Swarup Damodar Goswami came into the active association of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya also arranged, just like he gave a room to Paramananda Puri, he also arranged solitary residence for Swarup Damodar and also asked one of his servants to arrange everything that is needed for Swarup Damodar, his water, his any other necessities and all arrangements were made. So in this way, Lord Chaitanya not only established himself in Puri, the house of Kashi Mishra, but also, as we have discussed up to now, Paramananda Puri has arrived and also Swarup Damodar Goswami has arrived and they are going to remain in the very active association of Lord Chaitanya. In case you have forgotten, Paramananda Puri is an incarnation of Uddhav, great Sri Uddhavji, Krishna's most dear cousin and friend. Swarup Damodar is Lalita Sakhi, Ramananda Rai is Vishaka Sakhi. The other Pandit will come soon, who's Radharani. So all these associates are now going to gather. The next devotee who gathers is Govinda. He's going to become the personal servant, but we'll discuss about that the next class, which is after 2 weeks. Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Jai Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Jai. So we have covered up to verse 129. So we'll resume from verse 130. Our next class. Thank you all very much. Any questions, comments? Yes, Tarun Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have a question on Damodar Mass. So at the end of the Damodar Mass, we were doing the counting of the number of diya that we have lit. So what is the significance of this counting?
The significance of counting is for us to measure that we are progressing in our service. Actually, even for what to speak of lamps, even for japa, why 16 rounds? Actually, Kirtaniya Sadahari should be chanting the holy names always. But since we cannot do always, at least 16 rounds. But how will we know 16 rounds unless we count?
Correct.
So this is to put some measure. For example, we read every day. But if we don't put a time to it, we will not know whether we are really reading or spending sufficient time. So measures are put so that we can track our efforts and our service.
Okay.
So, of course, why we are counting? The reason why we are counting is we are offering the count of the lamps as a service to the Lord, to Prabhupada, the Acharyas, that, I have offered so many lamps, or I have been instrumental in offering as a service to your lotus feet. So, in that spirit, of course, ultimately, what is important is the quality of our devotion. But until the time that we are always fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, it is a good idea to keep track. Not so much, the idea of count is not so much to glorify ourselves or advertise, but more to
Measure the progress.
measure the progress. So we know if I am chanting 1 round today, and then next week or next month 2 rounds, then 3 rounds, then 4 rounds, then I know that I am making substantial progress. Then I can measure, I can track. Otherwise, we tend to become haphazard. So that is it. In fact, Lord Chaitanya himself, the song says, Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gananativi. And the Acharyas also, Lord Chaitanya also, and the Goswamis also would count. Even though they are the pure devotionals, they would count to set the right standard. Of course, this counting is more important when it comes to japa, but the principle is still the same. For example, you say on Radhashtami, we want to offer 1008 offerings to Radharani. So the devotees, they were there in Jagannath Puri along with Radhanath Maharaj. They had Prabhupada's disappearance stay there. Devotees were cooking there. So they counted, I think, what was it, 5,000 or something like that offerings they made. So when we count, also another way is, another means is that the next time we do, we want to do better than what we did the last time.
That's true.
If we don't track, we lose. If we don't count, we lose track of what we did. Then we may be going down also, we may not be realizing. We always want to improve our efforts to serve the Lord. So that is the idea. That's about it.
Good. Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have one question in terms of balancing the read versus counting. So let's suppose I'm counting X as of today, and then I'm also trying to read the scripture. But sometime either scripture I'm able to read and the count is reducing from the defined number. So,
count should never reduce.
Okay.
And reading also should be regular. So japa is, amongst all the activities, japa is top priority.
Okay.
Followed by reading, hearing. If you're not getting enough time to sit down and read, try to hear recorded classes. That's also good. If you do not get a lot of time to study and read, then you can spend at least 15-20 minutes. If not read, at least hear. And hearing you can do even as you're traveling, even as you're going about doing your duties in your home, even as you're having your lunch or dinner, there can be some katha going on in the background. So if there is a will, there is always a way. Of course, japa has to be done, as a very exclusive activity. not while having lunch. But of course, hearing, of course, best is done with full absorption. But as we are going about in our busy lives, it's okay if we are able to hear while we are traveling or having our meals or as we are going about doing our day-to-day activities. So we have to find time. But the principle is, because we are counting the number of rounds, we want to make sure whatever we have agreed to do every day, that minimum we must accomplish. We should not go lower than that. So it's okay to steadily increase, but we don't want to go down.
Got it. Prabhu.
Haribo. How many rounds you are chanting now every day?
10.
Very good. Haribo. Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And Mataji? Jaji?
Puja is, I think 4 and maybe Puja or 6. Puja, you
You're
are
on
mute.
mute, Mataji. Hari.
Hare Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Haribo.
4 or on Ekadashi 6 I am trying Prabhuji.
Haribo. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Sorry for
Thank you.
asking the question very publicly, but
No problem.
so it's
No
very
problem
nice.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So
Hare
we
Krishna.
all have, I myself gradually increased my japa 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. I was increasing 1 round every month. Then once I went to 8, 10, 12, then quickly I went to 16. So it becomes easier. So it took me 1.5 years or so to come 16 rounds. So that's okay. But the important thing is to be steady.
Got it, Prabhu.
I have one more hand raised by SD.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I cannot.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it's me.
Oh, Swati ji, Swati, okay, SD. Okay. I was wondering who's SD because my father's initials are SD Bolkar. So I'm wondering who it is. My father has joined over. Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have read somewhere that Haridas Thakur used to chant 25,000 times in a day. Is it?
Haridas Thakur was chanting 100 and he would chant 3 lakh names, which roughly translates to around 192 rounds every day.
Okay.
So 64 rounds into 3. He would chant 64 rounds loudly, 64 rounds he would chant softly, and 64 rounds he would chant in his mind. Like that, 192 rounds every day.
Every day?
Every day without fail. And he will not eat anything until he has completed his japa.
So it means like
22 hours he would barely sleep. 20 to 22 hours he would be chanting. So that's why he's known as Nam Acharya. He's the topmost example of chanting the holy names. Because that was his full absorbed seva of chanting the holy names. See, that is the potency of the process of devotional service. Even one of the limbs of devotional service we can take full shelter of, we can achieve perfection.
okay.
And obviously the chanting of the holy names is the Yuga Dharma. So Haridas Thakur is especially glorified for his characteristic of always being absorbed in chanting the holy. Even when he became very old, Lord Chaitanya would tell him, we'll be discussing this later in Madhya Lila itself. Lord Chaitanya would tell him, oh, you have become so old, it's so difficult for you. You can reduce your rounds, no need for you to do this. You are already perfected devotee. He said, no, actually my problem is not my body or my age, it's my mind. My mind is attracted to Maya. So I have to keep chanting 192 rounds. I mean, he would say out of humility. He was very, very determined to always be absorbed. So if you want to feel what 192 rounds is like, one day we can try. There are devotees who, on the day of Haridas Thakur's disappearance, get together and chant 192 rounds.
Great devotees.
Hundreds of devotees come together. I haven't done yet. This kind of feats you can perform only when all devotees are sitting together and chanting. And that combined energy will make it possible. So that's why we say that our ultimate goal is Kirtaniya Sadahari. Always be able to chant the holy name of God. Okay, yeah, 300,000 names, 3 lakh names or 192 rounds. Okay. Any other questions? Comments? So thank you. So next Saturday we will discuss Bhagavatam again. Then we'll continue with Chaitanya Chap. I hope this is okay for now, for some time. Okay, thank you very much for accommodation. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Gaur
Jai.
Nitai jai, Sarva Damodar Goswami jai.
Thank you,
Sambhav.
Prabhu. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Thank
Prabhuji.
you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you
Krishna.
everyone. Hari Bol.
Thank you,
हाँ
Prabhu.
ना
Hare Krishna.
Ekadashi
Prabhu.
तिथि की जय. We are fortunate we discussed today's katha
Yes.
on Utthana Ekadashi. Yes. Yeah. Sachiprem Mehtaji, you are saying something?
No, I just said thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji, for patiently listening when you could have done so many